In a world where photography is as easy as never before, everyone can take photographs. But due to the usage of mostly the same equipment, you lose the touch of the individual photographer. And I don't like that. I think photography should be an expression of the individual artist behind the image. I'm going to use cyanotype printing to create unique physical prints of some of my digital photographs. And that way, I will be able to combine the best of both worlds. Cyanotype printing is one of the earliest photographic processes, developed by Sir John Herschel in 1842. In its early days, it has been used to document plant life and create blueprints. You can print on paper, fabric, wood, or even glass. And even though the Prussian blue is what cyanotypes are typically known for, there's a plethora of ways to tone your prints using household ingredients such as coffee or tea. You only need 3 things to create a cyanotype: the emulsion, something to put the emulsion on, and a subject. As for the emulsion, you have several different options. The easiest is using pre-coated paper. An alternative to that is using a cyanotype kit like the one by Jacquard that I'm going to use today. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you have loads of possibilities in terms of what to print on. But to show you the basics, I will use watercolor paper. As subject for our print today, I'm going to use a negative of some of my digital photographs. Now I want to start by showing you how I prepare my digital photographs to use as negatives for cyanotype printing. And the first thing you want to make sure is that the file you work in has at least 300 dpi. If you have a printer that can do 600 or 1200 dpi, it is worth to up that to what your printer can do. But my printer only can handle 300 dpi, so that's what we're gonna work in. I've prepared a picture of mine here. And the first thing you want to do is turn it into black and white. For that, I'm just going to reduce the saturation to 0. The next thing you want to do is turn it into a negative. For that, I'm just going to adjust the curves so we have a line going straight from top left to bottom right. Now, this image here is ready to go, but you really want to make sure that what you want to have white in your final print really is black. If this would not be the case, if it would be just some shade of maybe darker gray, you could also adjust the curves here. On the other hand, if you want something to be really black, you want it to be completely white here in the negative, and if that's not the case, you could also adjust that here in the curves. But as I said, this is the negative that I'm going to use today. I've prepared a few more here just to do some test prints, and maybe you see some variety in the kind of subject that you can print with cyanotype. After I've printed out the negative on some transparent film, I will now mix the emulsion. For that, I'm using 2 very cheap pipettes. In that way, I'm able to only mix a few milliliters of emulsion. This will be enough to coat 1 or 2 sheets of paper. For coating, I'm using sticky tape to fix my paper to the table. After that, I'm using a spongy brush to apply the emulsion evenly. If you want brush strokes to show up in your print to give it a kind of painterly look, you can also use a normal paintbrush. After the paper is coated, I'm going to let it sit until it's dry to the touch. Only then, I'm going to start placing my negative on the paper. To hold everything down and ensure sharp edges, I'm going to place a piece of glass together with some weights on the negative. At this stage, we are now ready for printing. I'm going to use my little box here to expose the image, but you can just use the sun for exposure as well. Just experiment a bit and follow the instructions in the packaging of your cyanotype kit. After exposing your paper to UV light, it's now time to develop the print in tap water. And this will be the first time you can see your print. Rinse it carefully and then put it somewhere to dry. Here we have the final array of our cyanotype test prints. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos about extended photographic processes in the future. Next week, I'm gonna make a video about using cyanotype printing to create prints in the style of surrealist artists. So if you want to see that, maybe consider subscribing.